In this video, we are going to walk through the setup of a basic flow that will refresh a Power BI dataset with Salesforce data. We will use Power Automate to grab the data and pull it into a folder and then refresh Power BI. So the few things you need to start with, of course, is having a Power BI dataset in a workspace, and then also a Salesforce report that you're using to create your Power BI dataset from. And of course, you'll need Power Automate to make the flow happen. So we're going to start out by looking at Salesforce. We have our reports, and I have a report here that I am using to create a Power BI dataset. And the first thing I need to do is schedule this report so that it goes to my email. And that is going to be the trigger when the email arrives. That's going to be the trigger for Power Automate to grab the email, grab the attached report, put it into a folder, and then refresh Power BI. So we need to actually schedule this. And you can see that I already have a subscription or a scheduled report going for this report. But if I go over here and click on the arrow, you can see the subscribe option. And that's going to give you the ability to set up your report subscription. And you can choose a frequency of daily, weekly, and monthly. So I have this scheduled every day so that my data set gets refreshed daily at 10 a.m. Unfortunately, you can't set it up any frequency less than daily, or greater than daily, I should say. But you can add conditions. So once you set up your details for your subscription, then you go ahead and click save. And now your report will get sent to you every day. And without customizing anything further than that, your email is going to appear like this. So it's going to have the name of the report in the subject, email subject, and it's going to be in these parentheses preceded by report results. So this is going to be your subject here. And I'm going to go ahead and copy that because we're going to need that for Power Automate. And then it's going to be sent from you. So it's not going to come from like Salesforce. And so now that we have this ready to go, we can go ahead and hop into Power Automate, and we're going to create an automated cloud flow. And our trigger is going to be when an email arrives. So we can search when email, and we're looking for this one here. When a new email arrives, V3, Office 365 Outlook. We'll go ahead and create, and we'll rename it later, or name it later, I should say. And now we want to set up our trigger action. So I'm having that email sent to my inbox, but of course you can have it sent to a subfolder by an Outlook rule. But for this case, we're just going to leave it with inbox. And then since this email is coming from myself, I'm going to search and add myself in here. And then I want to do yes for include attachments. And then I want to paste in that subject filter. And you can do only with attachments, yes, because it's always going to have an attachment. That's enough information to grab the right email. And the next thing we want to do is we want to have Power Automate create a file based on that email attachment in OneDrive. So for that, we can go ahead and we can search OneDrive actions, and we want create file. And here's where you'll want to select your folder path. So one of the other things you'll need that I didn't mention earlier is a folder for your Power BI reports. So I have that here, so I can find my folder address here. And this is where the file is going to get created. And then that's the folder that's connected to Power BI, so that Power BI can refresh the data from that folder, from whatever files are in that folder. So we'll grab our folder path. And I named my folder Power BI, and then I have a subfolder in here for the specific report. And now the file name, that is going to be the name of the attachment. So we're going to use the dynamic content when a new email arrives trigger. And what we're looking for is attachment's name. Now that's going to automatically add and apply to each action, and that's fine. Apply to each email that arrives. And now let's reopen our create file because we need to grab the dynamic content for the file content. And now we can grab the attachments content here. And now that action is all set up. So our file will get created. So now at this point, at this stage in the flow, the Salesforce report has been scheduled. And when it hits the time, it will send to your email. It will send to your email. And once it arrives in your email, it will, Power Automate will create the file in your specified folder. So it did that here. And now the final action, which we would need to add here in still within the apply to each, is our Power BI action for refresh data. So if we search for Power BI, we can look at all of the Power BI actions here. And we want the one that's for refresh a data set. And so that's this one here. Now this is where you're going to need to connect to your workspace. So from the drop down, I can connect to my workspace, and now I can grab, or I can connect to my data sets here. So here's my data set that I want. And now we are all set up to make this happen. So now the last thing that will happen is when that report, that new attachment gets added into your folder here, then your data set in Power BI will automatically be refreshed with the new data. And one thing to note is that whenever Salesforce sends you a new report to your email, you're going to have it's going to have a new string because the name of the report is whatever you name the report. And then it's going to be followed by the date stamp. So you're going to have like those specific string of numbers on the end here so that your file name will always be something different. So that's how that works. So we'll go ahead and click save. And one way that we can test this, because the only way to test it is by actually sending a new email, and you can't just simply send a report once. Salesforce doesn't have that functionality here. It would be great if they did. You could hop over here and just click on subscribe and then have a send once button here. But what we can do to just basically for our testing purposes is we can go into our email, and then what I can do is I can just hit the reply all here, and then I need to attach my report. So what I'll do for that is I'm gonna just attach the same file here. But I'm going to rename the file, just add an additional digit on the end here. Doesn't matter as long as the file name is something different than what's already in your folder. That's the important thing for testing, so you don't trip anything up. And then I need to grab my email again, and I'm gonna drag that file name here and attach it there. So now what I did was I grabbed this file here that I used for the previous test. I put it here, but I renamed it. The last digit is something different. And then I also need to make sure that the RE, the reply portion of the subject, is gone. So now the subject is exactly what we put into Power Automate. So it knows to grab this, right? The body doesn't matter because there's no filters in that action or trigger. So it only needs to know that it's going to me. And then this is the subject and it has an attachment, and that's it. So we can go ahead and send this. And now it's just going to take maybe a minute or two for that email to arrive and for Power Automate to note that the email has arrived. And for the trigger to fire. So we can go ahead and go back to our overview page, and then we can kind of go here and we can refresh until we see that run once our email comes in. And our flow ran successfully. So we can go ahead and take a look at our folder, Power BI folder, and we can see that our report did come in and our data set was refreshed. All right, everyone, thanks for watching. Hopefully you found this video useful. And as always, we will see you in the next video. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.